I appreciate the fact that, I know our press has covered that. He actually held office last year as the president of the Sheriff's Association. So our local Adams County Sheriff is making noise in Indianapolis and is obviously very well respected among his peers. I know I feel blessed that we have Sheriff Dan as our sheriff. And I know that our residents are better off for it. So Sheriff, thank you for what you do. Thank you for being the kind of sheriff that we need in Adams County. And obviously, Sheriff of the Year, recognized not only in Adams County, but throughout the state. So thank you.
Thank you. I would like to say with that, though, I want to recognize my staff. I can't do what I do without them. They handle the day-to-day. It allows me to represent down as president of the ISA in 24. So they do great work, and it allows me to do other things to promote Adams County and protect the office of the sheriff. So the staff of communications, jail, the administration, the maintenance, it's because of all of them that I can do what I do too. So I just want to make sure you guys understand it's the staff. We have a great staff here in Adams County.
How big is the overall staff, you think?
About 60 full-time, and the part-time jumps up and down, but I have about 5 part-time all the time too.
65.
Yeah, I just ditto Steve's words. I can't add anything to that, except that the one thing I've always appreciated about Sheriff Mayhor, he's always been professional, and he's always had the professional look. And I'm sure that his physical size had nothing to do
Little intimidating.
with getting getting this award. But no, the sheriff's presence does, it sets a precedent.
Sure,
It
sure.
certainly does. So thanks, Sheriff. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys very much.
One of the things I told the guys who was sitting at, eating lunch down at the 4-H fair, and I talked about how fortunate we are in Adams County that I feel comfortable letting my grandkids roam the grounds of the 4-H fair and feel like that they're safe. And living in Adams County, I know the Sheriff's Department contributes to that. Our other local law enforcement contributes to that. But living in a county where we can feel comfortable and safe, allowing our kids and grandkids not feel like they have to be supervised every minute of the day to keep some bad guy from doing something horrendous to them is just such a compliment to our Sheriff's Department, compliment to our other local law enforcement, and a compliment to the community that we live in. So just all that contributes to a safer and more livable community. So thank you.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Moving on, we have minutes from.
Okay, I've read through those. I really didn't, I think I made my one correction, Tony, back, but I can't remember what it was, but they appear fine to me.
If you did, I think Angie would have
Taken care of it.
corrected it.
So I move, Steve, we accept the minutes as presented.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So that motion passes. Doug and Steve.
Actually, we did correct that because I went back and watched the video. She had gotten confused on,
Oh, I know what it was,
it
yeah.
was the little pieces of land. You guys gave permission for
yes.
them to
Right,
continue on with that. There was no action taken. It was just
Right.
permission.
Yeah.
That's what that was, and I changed it for her.
right. Okay,
Very
so,
good.
yeah, they're approved, they're good.
Hey, Tony, what have you got for us this morning?
And let me start by saying, I'm sorry I wasn't here last week. But hopefully Angie did a fine job.
She did.
Did.
I did hear on the video that Stan said she was a lot better looking than me,
No argument there.
which I'm not gonna argue with.
More hair.
But my daughter got married, as you might know, that's part of the reason I was going to that, an auditors conference. It was an outdoor wedding, thunderstorms,
Oh, boy.
that we managed to get it all under an awning. And it was still driving rain in the background, so it might be cool for a video. The officiant's back of his jacket got a little wet. And Steve, you'll be happy to know, my wife married a banker.
All right.
Works at a bank in Morrisville.
Take good care of
Can't go
your
wrong, right?
daughter. That's right. Good provider.
So it was all good. It went well. I apologize for any videos that come out that I may or may not be involved in.
I told Tony that Mooresville's claim to fame is the hometown of John Dillinger.
Who
He
robbed
was born
banks.
there. Right, Dan?
Yeah.
Dan left.
Anyway, now that that's out of the way, I do appreciate Andy filling in for me.
Yeah, she did a nice job.
The first thing on the agenda is a PCORI fee. And I was gonna have Shannon help me with that, but I think I can handle it. PCORI is Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute. It's a fee that's imposed on health insurance policies and self-insured plans to fund research. That is what that fee is. It's paid to the IRS, I think, every year. And the amount of that fee this year for the PCORI fee is $1,084.38. If we could get action taken on that,
What's the amount again, Tony?
$1,084.38.
And, what's the, give me the title of the service that we're getting again?
It's for because we're self-funded,
Okay,
we have to, everybody that's self-funded pays into this PCORI fee. It goes to the IRS for their help in research on policies and stuff.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it. Steve, are you okay with it?
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, I move that we accept the, recommended fee of $1,084.38 to, do the
Second that
self-funded.
motion.
The paperwork is contained in
Looks
this.
just like, looks like a tax form.
Sign that.
So I
Yeah.
make that motion, Steve.
Yep,
Okay.
a
That's the
second, we're
annual
done.
fee, right, Tony? Annual?
Yes.
Okay. I'll get the words later, the long PCORI thing. I'll get that later.
Well, you can actually Google that. Just Google PCORI, PCORI, Google PCORI, and
PCORI.
it's exactly what I did.
Okay, I'll do that.
Got that signed, all right, that's what we're paying here.
Okay.
Yeah, just out of curiosity, I'm all for it, but if someone decided not to pay that, what would be the ramification?
I don't know if they come and arrest you or something or not, but they probably would impose some kind of fine, just like the IRS
Yeah,
does.
Since it's internal revenue, it'd be a pretty good reason to pay it.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of paperwork for that too, but, I don't wanna find out what happened.
No, we don't want to go that route.
That's why I pay.
Let's
my-
wait till after 2028 to find that out.
Yeah.
Okay, it's approved.
Okay, next I have payroll time card approval. You should have received those via email. That's the appointed department heads. Payroll time cards.
Those looked okay to me,
Look okay,
Doug.
Steve, I
Yep.
move that we accept the payroll time card as submitted.
Okay, second,
Okay.
motion passes.
Next, we have payroll claims. And those claims are in the amount of $397,868.45. 397,86845 payroll claims.
Okay, Steve, do you see any problem with those?
Let's
Okay,
pay the payroll.
I move that we accept the payroll claims and pay it. $397,868.45.
Okay. Then we have the Allied Weekly Health Insurance claim.
I second that, by the way.
Oh, sorry,
Passed.
jumping the gun.
Okay.
The weekly health insurance claims are in the amount of $135,953.12, $135,953.12. And I verified the claimants. It looks like medical was $49,380.55. And prescriptions, I guess you can't see that, was $86,320.25. And there was one little backup withholding for $252, which made the total $135,953.12.
Move that we pay the health and claims as submitted.
Second,
Okay.
motion passes. Interesting, it's just odd to me every time we see that prescription so much higher than the medical claims. But I know that that's one of the areas that we're actually looking at, maybe changing prescription benefit managers so that we can manage that number down a little bit. It's just, it's a big number, one that we have to pay attention to. So appreciate Shannon and her team bringing us some options there.
Not very often anymore. You go to a doctor, you usually walk out with a prescription,
It's crazy.
no matter what your condition.
Okay. The final thing that I have is the animal control report submitted by Chad Sprunger.
Yeah.
And if you want to take a take action to approve entering that into the record. You have that in front of you. The press has it.
You just look over the stuff in here. Kittens 15.
15 kittens.
Okay, we're talking about,
It's being the season.
yeah, we're talking about Chad's.
Chad,
delivery.
collecting them in, yeah.
Yeah, delivery,
We haven't
okay.
gotten the animal shelters yet.
Yep, so we're approving the $201.60, right, Tony?
Right, for their.
I
yeah, for their
move that we
mileage.
accept the Chad's report and pay as necessary.
I'll second that motion.
Yeah.
Motion passes.
Alright.
You know, one thing I've always said, even in my prior serving, was Adams County is very fortunate in having our animal shelter and the total cost, including Chad picking them up and delivering them when he gets a call. You know, it's going well and it's very reasonably priced for us in the county.
I agree. I know it could always be, somebody's always gonna criticize, but I think for what we need and what we have, I think we've got a pretty decent arrangement.
The only other thing that I might bring up or ask, this came up in a conversation with Mike Brown, John Summers on council, and it's regarding the 4016 IT services, which we know what that is, but the question is coming from the city of Decatur, the fire departments and all those places. We currently have an interlocal agreement with all of them for IT. But it's been discussed to add a labor and mileage charge based on the number of users they have. And I know that these entities are hitting Mike up saying, why haven't you met with us? Because we need to know an idea to put in our budget. And Mike is saying, you know, who's meeting with them on this interlocal agreement? And I know Mark's office is involved with the interlocal agreements, but we don't know if there should be a commissioner, a council member, one of each, working on these interlocal agreements and maybe involve Mike in it as well. Because I think we're getting to the point where they all have to submit their budgets, so they won't have it in there to pay that for 26. We may be to a point where we don't add that for 26, and we may have to work on it during 26 to get to 27 to get those done. But I guess I'm just bringing that up to you guys because council need to know about it as well. That due to deadlines on budgets, they're not going to know what to put in. Just bring it up to you guys to make you aware of it.
I saw that from Mike. Mike had sent an email, kind of recapping what his thoughts were on that. And again, I don't have an answer for you.
I mean, I would think,
I guess only Mike's gonna know.
right, I think
what
Mike
that- what
needs to
that-
be involved with it, but he wants to have probably a commissioner, a council member involved.
I think we just need to, Mike needs to give us some guidance as far as what he thinks his costs are to provide those services.
Well, I think,
And then
well,
we can-
Shannon had worked up during our meeting, no, it was Clayton. Remember our meeting on this? Hold on. We said,
Depends on what the answer
We-
is. Is it good or
we
bad?
had a meeting on, I think it was Shannon. For example, I think it was determined maybe Geneva has 15 users. And if they have 15 users, we took the wages of Bob, Mike, and Ethan, total wage, divided by 15 users. That was the amount we came up with for their payment for labor.
So my recommendation was to take the fringe benefit rate for Mike, Bob, and Ethan and divide it out evenly amongst all of the users in the county. And then for each entity that had whatever number of users they have, it's only what they pay for labor. And then obviously we would still include their equipment costs, just like they've
Right.
been doing, and then like a small mileage cost. That's just a guess, was my recommendation.
Which I think was a pretty reasonable way to go about it because they're paying for the number of users they have. I think the question is, and Mike's question is, how do we how do we arrive at that? How do we get that done? Does that need to be official action by both bodies? Does that need to be, and maybe the attorneys need to answer that. What does that need to look like? And is it too late to do that for 2026 if budgets are all gonna go in for them? I don't know the
I mean,
answer to
to,
that.
to me, that feels like a fairly straightforward, easy to see way to prorate their wages. The question may be, do we get, as a user sitting in Geneva, do I get the same value of services from Mike, Ethan, and Bob as a user sitting in this building? And if the answer to that is yes, then that all makes sense to me. But if the answer to that is no, we really don't spend as much time with the Geneva user as we would spend with an Adams County service complex user, maybe there's some mitigating factor there that you have to apply. But the baseline starting point would be total number of users. So if we can get the total number of users, county, total number of users at each one of the entities that are gonna sign on to this allocation plan, then let's look at, okay, that number is gonna be $10,000 for the town of Geneva, just as a airball. Is that something that we think makes sense? And if it does, then let's do it. But we have to start with the total number of users. So if, and Mike may know that or may not, but if he doesn't, he needs to gather that
I
information
think he
in.
does have that
Okay.
information.
To me, that's a pretty straightforward plug and chug number. And it's one that town of Geneva and city of Decatur and the fire department and everybody is gonna be able to see, yeah, I get that. I understand how you arrived at that. Then the question will be, do you agree with that methodology? But it's gonna be a pretty simple way to look at it.
And then the other thing involving all of that, I contacted Bixler Insurance. I've sent 2 or 3 emails regarding cybersecurity. Since we have travelers for our cybersecurity, if somebody is found to have come in with ransomware through one of the outside users, is Travelers going to cover that? Or are they going to say, we're covering county, we're not covering them?
Good
Yeah.
question.
And I haven't gotten an answer to that yet. I haven't gotten an answer as to how many of those other entities have their own cybersecurity insurance.
Right.
I may on my own have to reach out to Travelers and just ask them that scenario, are we covered? Since everybody's under our network,
Yeah.
does that cover everybody?
Yeah, I think that's a great question.
So I will find that. If I have to contact Travelers myself, I'll do that.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like that. If they're charging us based upon the number of users that the county has, and we add another 100 users because of all the other entities, and, it feels to me like that.
Seems like they
that's a
should
number that
cover
should
it.
Go up.
If we're paying for every user on our network, then that all should be covered in my mind.
Right.
But I know how insurance
Yeah,
companies.
you know how
do too.
insurance companies are. They're always looking for an out.
So we're gonna
Way,
try
a
to find
reason
that
not
out.
to pay a claim.
I didn't mean to
So
hijack
Tony,
the
Tony,
meeting,
in
but
the
they-
past,
Good.
in the past, Geneva, Byrne, Monroe, what was charges based on? Just a random
Just the
figure I threw it
equipment.
out there?
We
They're
never
paying
really,
now for whatever equipment they get.
we never really charged them for Mike or Ethan or
Never
Bob's
did.
services.
So we got it in place now, or
No.
we working on that?
The only thing that we're working on it, but
Okay.
they're all under an interlocal agreement now, but it's just for the equipment and fiber and everything. The physical stuff that they purchase, what we want
Like
to.
licenses and things.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they're paying for that. They've
Yeah.
never paid for any of the time spent by any of our staff.
Yeah,
Like if they go down to Geneva or wherever they go, there's no mechanism now for them to pay for that portion.
right.
So this is what we arrived at to come up with a amended, so to speak, interlocal agreement or a new one to each of them and say, this is what it will cost for you to stay on our network now,
Okay.
because you're now paying for labor and mileage. And if you, basically, if they say no, then we say, well, I guess you're not on our network anymore.
When
We'll
do
see.
cities and towns finalize their budget for 26?
They probably already.
So this
Our-
would not happen until
Theirs is
20.
due at the same time
We'll see.
ours is due, and we're submitting ours this week.
So this may not all, we may not get reimbursed until 27 then.
You know,
I
this
mean,
may-
they gotta have a chance to put it in their budget.
Yeah. So at this point, I'm thinking we start working on it and have all of 26 to get it ready for 20, or get it ready for 27's budget, which will be about this time.
Yeah, next year.
So if we start this year working on it,
It's gonna take that much time,
We
probably.
should be able to get it done by 27.
I mean, I've had it on my radar since we had that first meeting to kind of update the existing interlocal to incorporate that labor cost. Really, what I was waiting on was the insurance question,
Yeah, and I
because
haven't-
that's gonna be huge as to
Yeah.
whether, well, I mean, that's a giant question and
It is.
with a giant answer, so,
Right.
yeah. I mean,
I'm a little disappointed I haven't gotten an answer. on
Well, I
that
think
yet,
the
but
goal would be then to shoot for 27 reimbursement then.
that's probably best, yes, because I think we have an idea of what we need to do and what we want to do. This afternoon, I'll go up and find the number to call for travelers, and I'll find that answer out myself. Unless I get to run around and get it.
Would you also get with Mike and
Yes.
we just need that user number?
Yep.
Of each
Yep.
one of the different entities, including our own entity.
Yeah. And then when they get ready to go to the units with this new interlocal agreement, if commissioners and council can determine if they would want to go to the meeting and have one commissioner and one council member present
Well,
with
and-
Mike
And that gives them time if they don't agree to subscribe to this
to
new,
look for something else.
to look for something else.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Hey, Tony, does that apply to the communities or the fire departments, the bond?
It's Byrne. And
Yes.
it's, no,
The
no,
community.
City of Byrne is just Byrne Police Department.
Oh, yeah.
Mike would be the one to really answer this question.
Oh.
But Monroe, I think Decatur, the fire department in Decatur, the police department in Decatur. Town of
Town of
Geneva,
Geneva, probably
Monroe.
Geneva.
Probably their fire
and
department.
police, yeah.
but Mike would have the full answer to that, or maybe Clayton does. I don't
What
know.
it does not apply to is the town of Bern, because they don't use our services.
Only their police department.
Yeah, only the police department.
Okay, okay.
So good discussion though. That it's, and again, I think I feel like that's a way to allocate the cost and not have them trying to keep track of time. I spend 2 hours there, 3 hours here, and
Right,
so we don't have to put up with that stuff.
X amount.
Yeah, X amount. Good deal. Anything else for us, Tony, before we move on?
I don't think so.
Okay, Nate, what have you got for us this morning?
A couple of different project updates. It's already end of July.
Pictures today.
Construction is starting to kick up on a few of my projects here. So a couple updates for you on small structures. I know I mentioned that they were getting started. Culvert C260 is shown in the figure there. That was set back on Friday of last.
That doesn't look small. Nate.
It is not. That's a 53,000-pound section of that box culvert.
I don't know if I'd be guy in a green shirt. I hope he's not underneath that.
He is not underneath it, thankfully. He is following dutifully along behind that, so.
He smashed like an ant.
Yeah.
I don't see a hard hat, but I'm not sure.
I'm not that hard. I don't do much good, see?
But yeah, no, that was a pretty good picture for it.
It
So
is.
kind of give you a scale of what's going on that
Good sized
box.
crane. Wow.
He's getting a lot of corn sweat on him right there.
Yeah, it was quite hot out there this last week, and I'm gonna go back out.
So
again
how
later.
many of those squares does it take to put on this particular project?
That is actually a 6-foot section of that box of 54 feet, so we got nine
Nine of
nine
them?
53,000-pound box sections. So
Nine semi trucks, you
nine
said.
semi trucks that came out of, I believe Cleveland, Ohio. So we couldn't start till about 9:30 because they got loaded up and took off around 6 in the morning to get over here. So that's how both of these sections went. Overall, without too many hitches, there was a little complications here. There are different cranes on different jobs, but both are in now. Now my plan is to try to get pavement restoration in. Actually, that's a call I gotta make here. I just got a call from the contractor while I was waiting, so we're looking at trying to put asphalt down. Plan was to use fiber reinforced concrete if these went in the winter months. Asphalt plants are open, so I'd prefer to do the asphalt if we can. So we're gonna set up the limits on where the asphalt restoration will be on those. So
Once you get those 9 in, you set them butt to butt.
Yep.
Is there any kind of a seal that goes in between the cracks?
yeah, there's a bitumen rope that is essentially set in those because there is a male to female end of those as far as the insert, a tongue
Oh,
and groove
okay.
connection on it. So there's a poured tongue and groove. That's probably the hardest part of getting these is to try to line one
Wow.
53,000-pound box on a crane up and ratchet them together, squeeze that mastic, and then there is a tape that goes around the outside of the box that wraps that joint as well. You'll see it sometimes on the end boxes, it'll stick out of the ground. You'll see that rope or that tape that covers that joint up. So
What's the number of years that this should be good?
more than mine is the plan, but I being quick, but it's, the goal is to get another 65 to 75 years out of a box like this. It is 1 foot thick. It looks fairly thin, but it is 1 foot of concrete around all four sides. Thankfully with this, and if you go out there, you're gonna see a whole lot of water on the bottom of these. They are 2 to 3 feet below the bottom of the channel. So we've set this up anticipating that the ditches will get dipped. It'll lower that out, but there's additional capacity. It's wider and taller, significantly taller than what was there initially. So we're down into the good hard clay underneath.
Yeah, you're dealing with water at the same time here.
Yeah, so we're trying to make sure that these have, we built capacity into them to last long into the future. It sets this up for the surveyors and the farmers as they dip the ditches out and maintain this, that there's a lot of service life in the ditches so that neither cause a conflict, because both structures really had to be replaced because of undermining caused by the ditch getting below.
So the water running underneath of the old structure.
So really, they were load posted because this massive concrete structure was there. The water had eaten the soil away underneath the bottom of the foundation. Both footers were exposed on these two structures so that they were essentially hovering above the channel bottom. So that's why those were posted and that's why they needed to be replaced.
Good.
So,
Good work.
but those are moving along. I'm hoping, one's gonna be open obviously before the other. There's some field tiles that need to be rerouted, some restoration work that'll be done. I'd like to say this week, but, it really just kind of depends on getting some gabion baskets in for the one in the asphalt for the surface. So the hard part's done now. It's just getting a few of the final touches on those two structures. Update for you on the guardrail safety grant. NDOT has approved our request for proposals document. I have submitted that to them, and that is for the construction inspection part of that project. So we're a year and a half, 2 years ahead of when that'll actually be necessary. But on the Thursday, the 31st, that should be issued. Consultants will start submitting their packets to me, and then those are all due by September 4th. So that gives them a little over a month to turn those in. So that's just an update on that project. C-Tech on the guardrails, we had guardrail damage from a bank erosion and also a crash. They have submitted their locate tickets last week. The hope is that sometime this week that they're gonna be out there working. They shouldn't need a full road closure. It should just be a 1-lane closure as they're doing that work on 000. But it'll be on them to notify dispatch if they need to do something more than that. So traffic shouldn't be utterly disrupted. You just may see some work going on out there. And it's just to replace the guardrails in kind and then just repair the damaged portions on both. Then lastly, Bridge 180, this is the one that crosses the intersection of 650 West and 825 South. That precast bridge should be ready to ship the end of August for install, which would mean that Judy would start doing the demo and prep work as early as next week. So right now, it just kind of depends on, once they get the final pick date, so it could start early next week or the end of next week. So that should start here soon. That will close both roads because you're right in the middle of the intersection, so you're gonna take the whole cross of that area out. So overall project, somewhere in the range of 5 to 7 weeks. That'll give us some time for restoration work. There shouldn't be really guardrail as part of that project that we're doing, very similar to what these boxes are here. That one, because we're in rock, it's not a 4-sided box, it will be a 3-sided box on that, so no bottom in that, but we're setting on bedrock in that location. So, other than that, I'm not getting a tan right now on some of these jobs, but that'll work. Looking forward to some cooler weather. Any questions for me?
Really good. Thanks, Nate.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
But I see that, when you're in here talking about small structures and I see that picture, I have a whole different mindset now.
Doesn't feel
For small structures.
I think the total weight of all the sections are about 477,000 pounds, so it's a
And
big
they said
boy.
that picture, said that.
It's on its
Nate,
way.
that last bridge, that 180,
Yes,
is that a small structure? That's a small,
no, that is a bridge. Because of the skew and angle of that one is a bridge. So And that one, we actually have community crossings money tied to that project as well.
Is that a
So-
heavily traveled road, that 850? Not
No,
much, is it?
So,
It is not. There is, I think it's a kind of a mud road to the west. So that one is problematic overall, but the north-south route is fairly traveled.
Well, that'll not last for a long time.
That should last for a long time. That's a double pipe structure, so that's been a trash collector.
Yeah,
for a long
trash
time.
collector.
it would be so nice if we had a way to communicate those road closures, and I know we've talked a little bit
Yep.
about this app that we're thinking about. If you could put out there and push out to all the residents, this road's gonna be closed, it's gonna be closed for the next 30 days. It's gonna closing on this date, target opening on this date. I know our media does a great job, but that's just one more way that I keep thinking about how we communicate better with our residents, what's going on, and here's a trouble spot that you need to be aware of. One
Yeah.
more.
Now, on my map here, just out of curiosity, it's got the mark on the road and it says height type. What's this height type? Okay, we're talking right here. And this,
So
what
it's
is-
right there.
yeah,
on
but
that.
what does height?
I don't know on
I don't
that.
either.
It's a 98 map, so
Yeah.
I don't
mean,
think it's on
not-
our index that way.
What is it?
I'm just curious.
Yep,
Okay.
there's just, it says highway type. It's got it's
Yeah,
an
take a look
index
at
on
it,
that.
make sure you-
We'll look at it afterwards,
Alright.
see if we can get the answer for you.
That's a really handy map that Doug's got that I don't believe I have a copy of, but if you guys have an up-to-date, is that functional classification on there, or what's,
No,
what map
I don't
is
think
that?
It just
No,
gives all
this
the
is-
roads,
this-
I mean,
this is
there's
a bridge
gotta be a lot of
inventory.
updates on
Yeah.
that compared to what it was now, but
Well, that's a bridge inventory that the ones doing the bridge inspections, every time they do it, you get a brand new one.
yeah, I'd take
So
an
it's still the
updated
same
copy of
bridges,
that.
but it shows you all the roads, all the bridges.
I would love to have an updated version of that, as well as an updated version of that functional classification. Am I using the right
Yes.
terminology there?
Yes.
That map as well.
Yep, we can do that. This is an old.
Might as well
map
get
with the
Stan
load
one,
rate.
yeah.
Yep, get us all one of those if you would, please.
Yeah.
Would you like a full size?
No, no, desk drawer size, please.
Yeah, this map's only 27 years old. I think.
Yeah,
we
but
can
it's
get
still
you-
pretty, the roads haven't changed much. Had no interstates on there.
What have you got for us, Brad?
Like the guy that called the fish outlaw.
I don't need it that tall. All I need is fit in a drawer.
Just a couple updates for you. County Road 700 South project. The, concrete crew has moved in. They're starting to pour curb.
Boy, it looked ugly over the weekend. Man, I thought, whoa, we got a long ways to go here.
No, they're actually
Well, I'll tell
pouring
you what, in the
curbs.
last couple of days, they've made big progress.
Yes.
Good deal.
They're still hoping to have the road in by the time school starts.
Okay.
They'll still have the cleanup work and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff to do, but yeah,
Yeah.
they're hoping to have that done. Then, chip seal, we are down to roughly 20 miles to go, and our sweeper is down and our chipper is down, our chip box. So this week, and with the rain and that.
Yeah.
Good
send
time to
guys out
grade.
Grade some stone roads, yes, and
Good.
do some other odds and ends, so,
Good deal.
yep, we're getting there.
And again, another use for that app, if we could communicate with
Yeah,
residents, so-and-so road is gonna be chip sealed,
yep,
stay away from it or whatever. That's just another way to better communicate
yeah,
that,
and,
that would be really, really responsive to you
yeah.
and somebody in your office just saying, okay, we're gonna update the app this morning and here's what's going on.
Yeah, that might possibly be a way to get some information out to them too, remind them why we do this.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
I
You know,
get
that
it.
700, it looks like, they've obviously taken the hump out
Yep.
right there on the intersection.
Yep,
So the visibility should be a lot better. But I think we discussed this at one time, and maybe sometime, Brad, you could talk to the state people. Being a school intersection twice a day, I'm surprised we haven't had a severe accident there.
there's
Would
been
there
a
be
couple-
any chance of
A few.
the state putting a flashing light at that intersection?
I think they
A
asked
yellow
that.
flashing?
The city of Bern asked that question and NDOT,
There are not enough crashes at that intersection to
Okay,
warrant
I
a
get it.
light.
City of Bern looked into that.
Yes.
Ron
And I
Dell
think-
was really looking into
I
that.
think
with-
they're actually moving away from those. I know Nate's reported to us that they're actually taking those flashing lights out because of the confusion they cause. When I approach it from the red side, is that other side red or is that other side yellow? And if you assume the other side's red and you enter in
Yeah.
they actually, the highway actually believes they cause more accidents
Could
than they
be.
prevent,
Could be.
if I'm not mistaken.
They're phasing them out. The
Yeah.
cost to update and change those doesn't relate to any safety improvement.
Okay,
So-
okay. Okay, well, that answers my
But I'm with
question.
you, when I go through that intersection, I think,
Yeah.
holy cow, this
You know,
looks
and I know
dangerous.
this is something that probably not gonna happen, but 300 west, 218,
Mhm. Yeah, the hill?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That, I mean, that's not, there's not, and you're not gonna get a state to do anything on that one because they're obviously not, thank goodness, certainly not in the facts of it. Boy, I'll tell you what, that is, you
That's
cannot,
tough.
you flat out cannot see coming
Yep.
from the south.
Yep.
But they're, just
Yeah. you're
keep your
correct.
fingers crossed that we don't have a tragedy.
Yeah.
And then there's other intersections in the county that's probably as hazardous as that one, so.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. It's gonna be a huge improvement. Now, just as a reminder, okay, once this 700, once that half mile's done,
Mhm.
Bern's taking that stretch over, is that
Yes,
correct?
eventually, yes, so that'll be
Okay.
turned over to the city of Bern,
Okay.
yes.
Good. Anything else for us, Brad?
That's it.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Brad, the school started August seventh, they North Adams,
On
begins
the
August
app.
seventh.
South Adams, I think it's
Why don't we
13th.
take a look
13th?
at
Oh,
the
okay.
commissioners'
Adams Central and South Adams.
budget
are a week
again?
later.
It's
I've
big money
I've
to
had,
table.
I've had so many people come to me and say, we can help pay for that.
Covered in North Adams.
Jessica, without a health department, said, I've got funds and we can really use that.
Then we
I'll
just-
help pay
Then
for
we
it.
just need to start looking,
Yeah,
figure out how we're gonna pay for that.
yeah, I
Which
think
one?
so.
really
I'll bring you up to speed on that
Okay.
when we get to the commissioners. We
Okay.
had a really good discussion on an app
Okay,
yesterday.
okay, got it.
We talked about this morning in
Yeah.
the department head meeting. Rick. I always miss Rick and
Rick's not
he's
here.
not here and I catch him, so. Colton, come on up, buddy. How's vacation?
It's great.
Upper Peninsula, Michigan, right?
That's right, yeah.
He was in the UP last week.
All week last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful weather. Not as
Not
humid.
100 degrees.
Yeah,
Heat index 106 yesterday.
Yeah.
yeah, you know, it's pretty nice up there. Well, thank you for the time here this morning. Just wanted to come and give an update on the EDC. Just make sure that you guys are kind of in the know what the last quarter really held, just the highlights. Of course, there's a lot more detail into some of this that we do than what I've got here, but these are just some of the highlights. The biggest thing I think is the new office. We transitioned over the last quarter into our new office, which is downtown Decatur, and submitted everything as far as keys and everything for our office that was here to Rick, so he should have all of that. And so we are in the new office. It's a great office. We held our first board meeting in that a couple weeks ago. Really fortunate and happy with the way that turned out. And we're already seeing others utilize that office as well. It's not just for our use. We want other businesses.
Colton has a small conference room that's right off of that front door there that I believe is open for
Yep. Yep, you
use
can-
by
to meet for
businesses and.
5 to 6 people.
Yeah.
You know, but it's got virtual capabilities as well. And so that's for use for businesses. We have several entities who have reached out who want to use our large conference room upstairs.
Which seats 20-ish?
We have 24 seats, so I think we can accommodate that depending upon the type of meeting. If it's just kind of a stand-up networking meeting, we could probably do a little bit more. I don't think we can go more than 30 from a code perspective. So trying to, get that out. We've really not done any promotion. We've got, now that everything's kind of set, we'll take some pictures, try to push that out to let everybody know.
What is the address? It's on the
138
130.
North Second Street.
Okay, is that on the east side, right?
That would be on the east side. Yep. Right there, sandwiched between Vinnie's, Monster Pizza, and the alley.
Oh,
That's right
okay.
there by Monster
Gotcha.
Pizza.
Okay, good.
We've got our signs up. They went up last week, and so we've got our logo on the front now. You can see some decals. So really, again, excited to be in that new space. It offers up.
And that was primarily funded by grant money, is that correct?
Yeah, that was primarily funded by grant dollars. We had a little bit of our own reserves from the EDC that we put into that, but primarily via grant dollars that we.
So you actually, does EDC actually own the structure itself, or is it?
Not at this time, but that.
But they will.
Yep, the city owns that still.
The way the grant worked, the city had to own it, I think,
Yes.
through the completion of the project, and then
Correct.
that'll
So we're
actually
working on
transition to
grant
EDC.
closeout Currently, and then once that grant closes out, then we can work with the city to transition that building into the EDC ownership. That is correct. Yep. So again, excited for that. If there's ever a need of the commissioners or anybody else to utilize that.
We
please do.
actually have a meeting coming up that I thought about reaching out
Yeah.
to you. See, I wish we had a small conference room here in this building, but we really don't have a nice place for 5 or 6 people to
Yeah.
get together and sit around a conference table and,
Yep.
I mean, maybe reach out to you.
Yeah, please let me know. We want you all to utilize it. If it can be of benefit to you, we certainly want you to.
I'd like to develop a little conference room like that here in this building, but we just don't have it today.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. The other thing which you all heard several weeks ago, we hired a new tourism director in May. Taylor, who was with us before, finished up college and wanted a full-time position, and we just can't offer that. And so we hired Kaylee, who was here and presented to the council, but you all were in the room. And so really excited with the work that Kaylee's doing, developing just a presence for tourism. And what we really refer to it as is visitor economy, right? Because tourism is not just, hey, we've got a theme park here, we want you to come utilize it, hey, come shop at our restaurants, come spend money, come buy our gas. It's really the visitors coming in and spending their dollars here that we like to see. I think when most people think of tourism, they think of those bigger things that you're drawing in large crowds for, but we want everyday visitors passing through here to take benefit and take advantage of the great things that we have.
Is she part-time then?
She is, yep, she's a part-time position.
So it's how you promote things like, things I don't think about are like, Pine Lake. How do we promote Pine Lake? Who promotes Pine Lake? Steel Farms. How do we promote and who promotes Steel Farms?
Yep.
We have a tourist economy here that's kind of flies under the radar
It does.
if you don't scratch your head and think about it a little bit.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
that's what I think she can help us
Absolutely.
begin to appreciate and grow that kind of modest
Yeah.
tourist economy
And
that
I
we have.
think it's, you know, a big piece of what kind of the initial push is trying to get residents of Adams County to realize there's a tourism industry here, right? Because they don't really think about it, because this is just home. You know, they go to the restaurants, they go to whatever. And then when they're out and about and somebody's, you know, talks about Adams County, we often hear when we talk about tourism, Adams County.
I saw an aerial
What's that?
picture of Pine Lake just within the last week and I thought, I didn't know they had all that stuff. It
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
blew me away.
Yeah.
But
And I think-
we don't talk about it.
Having somebody to talk about it here locally amongst residents, one, that just fuels them to go out and talk about it, but then we can also take those assets and go out regionally, statewide, and promote those assets across the state and the
Yeah.
region as well.
And
So
the Swiss Heritage is
absolutely.
It's huge.
I mean, last week was a huge week for tourism, right?
Yeah.
People from outside of
I-
Adams
I
County coming
drove
into
by
the
the-
fair, coming into Swiss Days.
Drove by the hotel in Vernon and that parking lot was packed. It's
Yep.
like, how do we begin to get that more traction through that hotel
Right.
every week instead of just 1 week out of the year for
Yep.
Swiss days?
Yep, the more people we have coming in, the more money we can generate towards that visitor economy.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the more money we can possibly generate to promoting more and more tourism. So really excited for Kaylee to be in that role. She's a real go-getter, knows what she's doing.
Now, could she team up with, I know there's a Swiss Days committee that puts Swiss Days together. Can she be part of that
Chamber of Commerce.
committee or?
I would,
did-
yes and no, right? She can be a part of that in terms of, hey, the committee provide her information to then go and promote. I think if it was a full-time position, there's a little bit more leverage to have somebody involved in some of those details, but as a part-time, there are only so many hours in the day.
Well.
But she could be
yeah,
engaged with that committee
Yeah.
to say, hey, whatever you're
Yeah,
developing,
I think a lot of people are
let me
saying,
know.
tourism person in Adams County, Do we
I
need
know,
that?
And I thought the
But-
same thing too. I
But,
thought the same thing.
You know, if she reaches out to those kind of organizations, she's gonna find herself to be pretty darn busy.
Oh, absolutely, yeah,
And,
that's the
and
goal.
I think that's what she's probably gonna, that's probably what your
Yeah,
goal
she'll
is.
partner with all
Our
those.
ultimate goal is that this would come from a part-time position, because right now, there's no funding for this. It's the EDC funding
Okay,
tourism.
her part-time position.
Yeah, the EDC is fully funding that. Our hope is that that grows into a full-time position.
You know,
Because when we look
another
across
idea would be, you know, just to team up with Smith Brothers.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, so they gave tours during Swiss days, so they may be willing to do tours, you know, accommodate
absolutely.
a group of, a bus group from Pennsylvania might want to come in, yeah.
Absolutely, anything like that. I mean, she's partnering with, or trying to create partnerships with our restaurants, you know, to try to promote them. Again, it's there's a lot that can go into
Yeah.
tourism, not just trying to get people from. the
You talk
outside
about
to
Pine
come.
Lake, just for an example, you're talking about restaurants and teaming up. East of Chicago is donating 20 pizzas and some other things to a group called Unity Performing Arts, 80 people going to Pine Lake.
Yeah.
On August the 2nd. So that was a good way for us to donate
Yeah.
to this group, and I can tell you this, there are a lot of groups that go out to Pine Lake because they come in and eat afterwards, you know, in several places, and it really, so Pine Lake's a big draw.
And it's
Yeah.
really creating experiences, right? Because you can create an all-day experience. Somebody might come in and just want to go to Pine Lake. But if we can convince them to go to Pine Lake, and if they do, they get a $5 discount to go to East of Chicago Pizza. And then a $5 discount to go to the filling station.
Yeah.
It's creating an experience, not just a one-stop, hey, come in, go to Pine Lake. We want you to do that, and if that's all you do, wonderful. But here's an experience. And so, yeah, tourism is a big thing. And again, I think a lot of, you know, to your point, Doug, of tourism in Adams County, really, there are 80 of the 92 counties in Adams County, many are in Indiana, many of them just as rural as Adams County. 80 of the 92 have tourism efforts, have an innkeeper's tax going towards funding tourism. So when you think of that, we're not creating something new. We're just trying to catch up to everybody else that's
Yeah.
doing it
Yeah.
and promoting their communities.
Yeah,
And
that's
so-
you bring up an interesting question. Tourism or a innkeeper's tax. You know, I've had a couple people asking me about that and you know, people have the, Clock Tower Inn, whatever it's called down there. They're probably not real fond of something like that, but that could be the funding mechanism for that disposition in the future.
Yeah.
Generally,
Sure could.
that's how it happens in most communities.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think there's some thought that maybe we need to consider that.
Sure, yeah, I mean, I think that's something we're working towards, I think, for us, we kind of want to build a justification to say, hey, here's what we can do with no revenue, you know, here's how we
Yeah.
could drive tourism, imagine what we could do if we had some level of
Well,
revenue.
yeah, and the opposite side would be, you know, for the people who have do they on a innkeeper's tax? Does that go for the homes too? What are they called?
Like Airbnbs or whatever.
VRBOs.
That's included? Those
Yep.
people get taxed too?
Yep.
Well, see, the opposite side of the coin, when you get pushback on that is, you know, if it brings more people into your establishment, it's gonna override that
Absolutely.
tax
I can't-
immediately.
Yeah.
They would be, I think the expectation is that they would be one of the primary benefactors of that
Right.
tax.
Exactly.
And they'll
And
pass it on to the consumer
And the
anyway.
consumer pays. it.
Exactly, that's the big piece, it's not as if, this is truly a visitor tax.
So maybe, would it be
visiting and
possible
staying.
for you to do kind of a study on innkeeper's
Absolutely.
tax throughout the state and something
Yep.
that we could
We
bounce
get
off
dollars.
of for discussion
agree.
here?
I agree.
Absolutely.
That
We
came up,
get
that came
information.
before council and commissioners once, because I sat on council and the Clock Tower Inn people were in here against it
Right.
at that time. You remember that? What year-
Vaguely,
What year was
vaguely.
2000?
It's been a while. But still, I mean,
It must have been-
I think what
Maybe
Steve
before I got
said
here.
is they're gonna be a benefactor.
Absolutely, yeah, I mean, in the reality
And there's
is,
probably a scale rate that you could put it in, you know.
Well, the
it's-
rate by statute, if we're still talking about innkeeper's tax, the rate by statute is generally 4%. And you're
4%.
allowed to increase it to 6%. And it's all, the statute is all it's a child of ordinance.
Okay.
So the county has to adopt the ordinance. And I could always look more into it, cause I was under the same assumption that Airbnbs and VRBOs fell under it, but actually by this language of the statute, it says it's taxed for providing any rooms, lodging, or accommodations in any commercial hotel, motel, inn, tourist camp, or tourist cabin. I mean.
So what
doesn't-
is the,
VRBO kind of
Clayton,
feels
what-
outside of that, but
Well, it should house them.
what's the chain of command for something like that to be implemented at the county level?
the county fiscal, well, first, the county fiscal body adopts an ordinance to require basically the county executive, similar to like seated tax and everything else. I mean, it's similar to all of those. It just
Okay.
takes ordinances between the county executive and the county fiscal body.
So we've talked to the Indiana Tourism Association, the statewide association that kind of oversees everything. We have example ordinances from other counties who have done this. Typically, most counties, they're at 5%. I think if you go above 5%, you have to get special legislation to do so. There are only a few that are above 5%. Some are under that. But we have example ordinances from other counties who have done that, how they've developed one, because you approve it, then you've got to set up a commission to oversee the funding that comes in, how they've done that. You've got to have certain members of, we'll say visitor economy entities, so restaurants or whatever the case is. So there's a whole process there.
Yeah, I'd be interested in getting.
Yeah, I think it's
some
worth
data.
it.
Shoot me some of those examples. I'd just be interested in reading them.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind working toward that, Colton, it sounds to me
Yeah.
like there's some interest here in
You
hearing
know,
more
there's
about it.
another huge attraction in Adams County that could affect tourism big time, and that is the produce and auction barn out in.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we're dealing with a population in Adams County of 35 to 40% of our population is Amish, you know, we gotta hinge on that population.
Absolutely. And I know they're involved in the Northeast Indiana Local Food Network.
Yeah.
I've been in some of those meetings and have talked to them there. So yeah, we want to utilize, I mean.
Yeah,
almost
just the
every
number of establishments that they have in this
agribusiness
county
is-
is huge.
Shoot, even Troyers could be considered a tourist attraction.
Absolutely.
Someone
I
from
agree.
Allen County that's driving.
I
through
know there are
stops
people that
there.
travel from a
I
long
mean,
ways.
if it's unique and it's
Yeah.
not a McDonald's or anything else,
Yeah.
anything's a tourist attraction,
Exactly.
right? Because somebody's got to be interested.
As I've
You know.
told, I don't think of it this way, but Monster Pizza, I think their weekend traffic especially is more from out of
Out
town
of town.
than it is in town. So that's become a
And
destination.
it's really the decor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know,
Back
So there-
40.
all that
Yep.
being said, there's a lot more to tourism than
A lot more.
most people
Yeah.
think.
Clock
of.
tower itself.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it takes an intentional effort of somebody focused on
Right.
that to really drive it.
You know,
You
when
know,
we think about our, you know, obviously the sculpture tour, but just thinking about our concert series in Decatur, the concerts they do in Bern,
yeah.
those kind of things I think are, yeah.
There's all
Just the
kinds of.
nature
Yeah,
of
the
it.
museum in Geneva is
I mean,
a real sleeper.
Every county has an opportunity to create something and go for the busloads.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Not the
Loblolly.
family, go for the busloads.
Yeah, the Loblolly down in Geneva too.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
you're good.
for communities like ours, you're gonna get maybe a bus load for one thing, but again, if we can keep them here all day, right? You're
Right.
gonna go to Pine Lake for half a day, but if we can keep them here for the whole day, it's creating that experience. That's
You
why
gotta
we're
eat.
calling it Experience Adams County,
Right.
so that you're
Well,
building. that.
sounds to me
So,
like
anyway.
she's got.
So that's the name
full
of your
plate.
effort, Experience Adams County?
Yes, that's what it's been kind of renamed, branded to. There's a logo
So
to
if you guys wanna,
Facebook.
all the help we can get, Experience Adams County is
Yeah.
kind of the tourism.
And I know Eric
Effort.
went in and talked to Kaylee.
I talked
you
to
know,
her.
Yeah.
recently.
Yep.
Yep.
I think Vern did an
A
article on
little
it
bit.
too.
Good deal.
Good,
Yeah, a little bit
yeah.
of that. So that's kind of a bigger
Yeah,
effort
well,
that
that's,
we've been
you got your
undertaking
plate
here.
full.
Business retention and expansion, still meeting with businesses. We've had 25+ business meetings, like in-person meetings. Of course, we've communicated with all of our businesses way more than that. County vision plan is moving along. Big effort last week, as I'm sure Steve has mentioned or will mention maybe. Being at 4-H fair and Twist Days, trying to have a presence there. We've got a call today. I'm interested to hear.
We do, yeah, me too.
You know, what type of feedback they got. A few other events we hosted a couple weeks ago on the 16th of July. I was fortunate enough to hold an event for the Indiana Economic Development Association, our statewide economic development association. I serve on the board for the state association. I hosted a northern meetup, so we had leaders from across the region, members from across the northern part of the state come in and just do kind of a 2-hour session. We did it at the Hive here in downtown Decatur, sharing about Adams County a little bit, but then just general topics as well. Same day, that was from 1 to 3, from 9 to noon, I hosted Northeast Indiana Lidos. So my counterparts in Northeast Indiana, the other 10, they were all here that morning. So it was kind of a whole day of hosting. Happy to be able to do that, have a community that we're able to do that. At the end of May, we hosted consultants here. Steve was a part of that, was able to welcome them. They were from across the nation. We had one.
Site selection consultants.
Site selection consultants. So they're essentially realtors for industrial businesses. And so we do these FAM tours where we bring them in to make them familiarized with our.
Put them all on a
region.
Fleetwood RV and.
We put them on a Fleetwood RV and shuttled them around the region. And so they were here on the 30th, had a great visit with us and a great visit in the region. In early May, we had signing day. So that is where we have similar to like an athletic program. If you're signing to go to college to play baseball, you get your picture in the paper, you sign with your parents at the school. We do that for students going directly into the workforce. And so there were, I think, around 20 students between Adams and Wells that signed with their employer. So their parents are there, the employer is there, their high school CTE teacher is there. We make a big deal about it. We have a dinner. It was a packed room. And so that was at the beginning of May. And then we also helped facilitate Governor Braun's visit to Fleetwood in early May. He kind of snuck in here one afternoon on a Friday. So we helped facilitate that. I got a call a few days before that said, hey, can you get a couple businesses that would be willing to meet with the governor? And so we help facilitate that as well. Let me look through here. Yeah, I think those are kind of the big highlights. Of course, there's a lot more, in the details of that, but those are the big things over the past several months that we've been working on and been able to do, and we'll continue to do some of those moving forward here into the third quarter.
Okay, Colton, if
Yep.
you mentioned business expansion.
Yeah.
Of course, that in my opinion is the way to go versus trying to hit a home run with somebody.
80% of what we do is the
Right.
BRNE compared to maybe 10%.
So if a small business person that was more or less unfamiliar with the EDC, if they were considering expansion, and I would recommend them, well, I think you need to call Colton Bickle and have him fill you in.
Yep.
Exactly, just give me a thumbnail of how you might be able to help that person from
Sure.
step one to maybe an expansion.
Yeah, well, I mean, the first thing I'm gonna do obviously is meet with them to understand their project, because that really is gonna determine how we're able to help. If it's a smaller project, anything under $250,000 and they just need a capital infusion to make that expansion happen, we have a revolving loan fund that runs directly through the EDC that the board, finance committee approves, the board approves. And so right now, I think we've got six revolving loan funds out to various businesses, and we can do anything from 10,000 up to 250,000. So that's small business as well, not just those large business.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the primary way that we can help, depending upon the project and the scope.
So the finance part.
Yeah, the revolving loan fund.
And sometimes that's gap financing too. Maybe they can go to the bank and get the bulk of their financing, but they've got this gap that they can't come up with. So they can provide gap financing
it.
too.
250 is the most that we as the EDC will be able to give out. It could be $1 million project and they go get 60% from, First Bank of Bern, or First Merchants, or Farmers and Merchants, whatever it is. And then we require 10% of their own equity so that they've got some skin in the game. And then we do the gap there, that 30%
got
up to 30%.
Okay.
And so that's kind of the primary way that I would say, hey, what is your project? What are your needs? Depending upon kind of the size of the project, then we could go to the state for state incentives. We could do tax abatements.
Okay, got it.
Currently, we're still able to do that, although with the changes in SB 1 and property tax relief, We can still do real property tax abatements, but the personal property doesn't make a
It's
ton of
gonna,
sense.
it's gonna go away
It's
in
gonna
a
go
few
away in a
years.
few years, so it doesn't make a ton of sense to do
Right.
that. So it really just depends on what their needs are. If they have workforce needs, we can get with our partners at Northeast Indiana Works. They have grant programs, on-job training where you can get so many dollars per employee to do training. So it really just depends,
Right.
but we would
Options.
first
Okay.
meet with them, figure out what their project is, what they were looking to expand, and then we would find a way to help them.
I think there's some opportunities out there, just need to.
The other thing I know Colton gets involved in is some training aspect, employee training, and skills building stuff.
Yep.
Through the Merit Center, you host and put together some training
Yeah, we've done
efforts.
like small business trainings. We can also do, individual, specific skill trainings, i.e. like Excel, right? If you've got employees and you want to do an Excel training, we can set that up at the computer lab at the Merit Center. We've done that before, and been very successful with like Excel, where we've had certain businesses in 4 or 5, employees at a time. Then we also have individuals, but if you've got other specific trainings, anything from, hey, we need to have our safety individuals recertified in CPR, well, we can either set that up at the Merit Center, work with the hospital, we'll help facilitate whatever we need to do. But then work closely with Ivy Tech and higher ed institutions as well, if there are, kind of those higher skill needs.
Well, I think it's good to people know. I mean, the first step, if people know that the EDC's out there,
Contact the EDC, yeah.
contact
Absolutely.
EDC and let them go.
Yeah.
Go to work.
I think to a certain degree, the EDCs, we're always just kind of behind the scenes, right? Like we're just
Yeah,
doing our work
yeah.
behind the scenes. And
Right.
then with the new office though, downtown, a little more visible, hopefully, people see us more. We'll do a ribbon cutting and open house here soon for the office. People know we're there and we
Yeah,
can make
they-
people aware. Hopefully
good.
people follow us on our Facebook and social media so that they can see different things we've got going on. But yeah, that's a big piece, making people aware.
Well, if
Biggest thing, we wanna make sure our
your local,
businesses are aware.
the local chamber of commerces are aware.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I sit on the Decatur Chamber Board, I sit on the Burn
There you
Chamber
go.
Board, so there's a lot of interplay between those entities.
Burn has
and ours.
buses come in, all the charter buses come in, and
Mhm.
everybody has a certain amount of time to go around all the downtown shops and.
So, yeah, we're
Well,
certainly.
good. I
involved in
appreciate
all
your
that.
coming in and giving us a
Absolutely.
thumbnail of what's going on. I need a
Absolutely.
review now and then, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
any questions, comments, or anything like that, certainly feel free to reach out to me. You've got my contact information. I'd love to
Colton has been and continues to be critical in this whole vision plan that we're working on. He and I will be on a conference call with our engineering firm, our contracted engineering firm this afternoon.
Yep.
So that's another piece that he's spent a lot of time on and probably doesn't get enough credit for. It seems like I get all the credit, but Colton does all the work, so
Get all the
if he's okay with that, I guess I'm okay too.
You can have the credit. You can have the credit. I'm just glad we're in the process.
Me too.
Sounds like my office.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
All right,
Gordon.
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Doug, I'm just glad when you said you were gonna name a big tourist attraction down the southern part of the county, that you didn't get my address. I mean, we get them by the busload already.
Yeah, yeah, well, that's good.
Actually, we're
Jessica,
supposed to
come on
downtown
up.
see 'em all, so. Oh, shoot.
All right.
Good morning.
Morning. So essentially, I think what I'm asking is for a motion for a special purchase, I believe is what it's saying.
Okay.
Let me find the email if you, that Mark answered you on. I get a lot of emails.
Tell us what you're working on, Jessica.
So we currently use software to issue birth certificates out
Got
of.
it.
We've been using this software since 2004 and have not upgraded it since then. It operates very slowly right now.
Sure.
There are upgrades available for it, and so that's what we're looking to just upgrade our existing software instead of trying to go to a new vendor.
Mhm.
The upgrades will not only allow us to be more efficient in issuing these birth certificates, it will also allow us to issue death certificates. It will give us a receipting program that, because all of that right now is on paper. Our death certificates are in paper files. So to have an electronic database for all of those plus this database communicates with the state's database, so it automatically pulls the information from them instead of us hand entering everything, which is what we do. So it'll be a huge upgrade for our office if we're able to just upgrade with the current company we have.
And I
instead of
believe
trying
Mark
to-
said that you wouldn't have to get quotes.
Yeah, because it's a special purchase under the circumstance, because it's the only, it's the only type of software that meets the county's reasonable requirements, related to their existing compatibility. And rather than converting to a completely new system, this makes the most sense to just update.
So there's just upgrading your current vendor to modern standards. I'm surprised that we don't have security issues with a piece of software that's that
And
old.
we've had issues where it's like Ethan and the developer had to go in back doors to try to recover stuff, and it's kind of been a mess. So
Yeah.
the developer reached out to us and said, you would really benefit from this update, and we've been talking about it for a couple of years. So
So what's the purchase price that you need?
in total, it'll be 30,000, and we have that in our budget
It's in
already.
your budget.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I don't
So
have
it's-
any problem. I think it needs to be done. I think,
I'm always in favor of keeping our software up to date, if for no other reason than just plugging security holes and security risks and things like that. And it sounds to me like you're gonna get a lot of user,
Vital records.
Vital records.
yeah, you're
is
gonna
an
get a lot of
important
user
one.
functionality, improved
Yeah.
user functionality out of it
Yeah.
as
well, I
well.
move
To not
that,
have to be-
we give, Jessica permission to make the purchase for the, software.
I'll second that.
Couple
Motion
questions
carries.
Yeah.
though in regard to the birth
Yeah.
certificates. Okay, if a baby's born at the hospital, that's pretty well cut and dried. Okay, if a baby's born at home or in a
Birthing center of some kind.
birthing center or something,
Yeah.
Midwife.
okay, midwife, whatever. Okay. Is there any chance of a birth certificate not being issued and there's a baby born?
So we rely on the midwife or the helper or whomever to give the family a worksheet, essentially is what it is, and then they have to schedule an appointment with us to register the birth, because we have no way of knowing that it's happening otherwise. We can register it for up to a year. After a year, we can no longer register it, and they have to go through the state to register it.
So are you think we're missing anyone out there?
I would hope not. I mean, in order for them to get any kind of social security, anything,
It would
they
be
would have
necessary.
to register the birth. Yeah.
And then there's an automatic process where the birth certificate is recorded in the recorder's office?
So Teresa, our registrar, she enters all of the information into the state database, and then it generates the record. Yeah. And then that also sends notification to Social Security if they choose to have a Social Security number assigned.
Okay, so that's one function of your position, is to keep track of that kind of stuff and make sure it's in order. Okay, I've kind of lost track of how the environmental section of the health and department works with Mark Wynn in the planning and commission department. What kind of a role do you see that you play in that process?
So our only function in that is septic systems, and the way that it works now, it's related to certificate of occupancy. Once they won't issue occupancy until they have septic approval, whether that's installing a new system or that's the system that they already have is functioning and fine, whatever that.
So
case
even
may
if they
be.
just have a privy, you still have to approve that for occupancy?
Just a privy isn't an acceptable,
Is not an acceptable?
not just a privy.
So if they have it built on isn't there some acceptable way that, well, what's the acceptable Amish solution then for an outhouse? What's your answer to
Well,
that?
they can have privies,
Okay,
but there has to be someplace for the rest of their water to go,
okay.
like their sink water.
gray
Okay,
water.
so they have to have a gray water solution as well as a
Which
toilet.
we just do regular, like everybody in the county has the same septic system requirements, we just follow.
But
what
there's
the
no,
state
is there any
requires.
follow-up if they use a privy? You know, I see once in a while a truck out there sucking the privy out. You know, is there any logical way to keep track of all this stuff, or is it just,
I think that it would require a lot more time and people in order to track all of it. Like we've tracked more recent ones, but there are so many.
okay, do we have any, do you think, are there any, people that's, if Mark does his part, are there any move-ins that hasn't met your requirement? Why is that?
I do not know the answer. Our permits are good for 2 years. So in that time frame, there are people that move in before stuff is done. for
But
sure.
that's, in my way of thinking, that's unacceptable.
Yeah, we don't have a process right now
We need a process.
to address it.
We need a process. I don't know what it's gonna take, whether it's, I've always said with Mark in your office, if the need is there to make to do things the way it needs to be done, I would fully support help. I would fully support it.
Like an enforcement arm. Whatever the right
Yeah.
terminology is for
I
that.
mean, we got and I'm not biased, I'm not against any of the population in Adams County, but when you have a large population that makes up what it does in our county, we need to keep track of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think kind of what Steve went along is almost along that vein is, again, more people specifically in what you're talking about, Doug, in enforcement, like an enforcement officer. I mean, because you have what right now in reality, it's really for the most part, Mark is the enforcement officer whenever he has to be, because he has to be the inspector.
Right.
But I mean, you have the city of Decatur that has, well, really two enforcement
So
officers.
their ordinances.
Through their ordinances. Monroe has one now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that person's duty to go out and say, here are and not really for Monroe building ordinances, it's more so nuisance ordinances, here are the golf cart ordinances, stuff like that. I mean, that's more for, sorry,
Right.
not Marshall, but that person knows what the ordinance are, and that's their job, is to go out and look.
Yeah.
Um,
But if Mark goes out, he makes sure that the concrete's done right. He makes sure that the egress windows are the right size, et cetera, et cetera. But then when the environmental section comes, which is Jessica, that there needs to be really a close relationship, working relationship. And if Jessica doesn't have time to get out and do her check, then we need to provide her someone that can. Because we're missing that leg right now. And word of mouth spreads. Oh, go ahead, Mark can only go so far. And if we're not getting the enforcement on the other end, then word of mouth spreads, believe me.
I think the message, Jessica, is if you need help with that enforcement piece, if we have ordinances out there that are not being observed because they're not, what gets inspected gets.
Yeah, I
realized.
don't wanna see anybody move in unless it's done right, period.
Well, and not only is there move-in, obviously, once Mark has certified a building for occupancy, it's not gonna change, but in the whole waste world, that can pass inspection initially when you move in, and a year or 2 years down the road, that can be changed such that it would not pass inspection. But we don't have an enforcement officer that's going out and looking for those post move-in. Are you still living by the code that says you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to have gray water treatment, you have to have a privy that gets pumped periodically, and so on and so forth. So
Nobody's
I think,
special.
I think the message there is, Jessica, if you need help, ask for it. Help us understand what you need, and then we'll go to bat with you, with counsel for that help.
And then there needs to be such a good working relationship. Because if there isn't,
With Mark.
we got issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've always been supportive, I've told Mark all along, look, if you're having trouble doing your job right, let us know.
Yeah.
So same for you, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you.
How soon do you think you'll get your software updates? What's the schedule on that?
That I'm not entirely sure. Ethan has been working with the developer, so I know there was like a Windows 11 question.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the company was waiting on us to say, yeah, we're gonna go ahead
Cool.
with it before he moved forward.
Very good.
So hopefully very soon.
Good deal. Thanks. Clayton, what have you got for us?
Nothing specific to bring to you today. I wanted to give you some updates. Spoke with, again, Sandy Brown with the Circuit Court through Judge Kugelhan's office has been trying to coordinate a meeting with the property owners, related to the possible judicial center location. The De La Rosas, the actual owners of the property are now just back from the vacation I previously mentioned. So we're trying to coordinate, and Sandy's pretty confident that we can get that coordinated pretty soon now that they're back, in conjunction with the property owners as well as their sons that have shown some interest in helping with figuring out the disposition of that property. So that's where we're at on that. Cause I know Stan brought these up a few days ago, on the Whirling property. We actually during that meeting, and then I started to reach out, we've found two potential contractors to do that work. So I'm kind of in communication with them, trying to line some stuff up to get that one done. And then also, I think directly after the meeting, we talked about it on the Teeple property. Mark and I both basically gave Pat Hess, the Plan Commission's attorney, the go ahead to basically
Make
then
that happen,
start
huh?
getting it scheduled for demolition and sheriff deputy's appearance during that time. So those are, I know you guys were wanting some updates on that, so that's really the updates on those. Yeah, unless you guys have any other questions, that's really all I got today.
You know, I feel like we ought to put some kind of a timeline in place on the
For
property.
property acquisition?
Yeah,
I do
I
too.
mean, if they can't answer the question in 2 weeks, we've got other alternatives. And I say move forward. And-
That's always, I mean, that's up to you guys.
Yeah,
Let's talk about that next week when Stan's here.
Okay.
Stan's so
Yeah, but
involved
I,
in
you know,
that, but I'm with
my
you.
feeling is if I wanted to sell a property and I had somebody interested, I'd be knocking on their door.
Yeah.
You know,
I think,
Place, the pallet.
no,
place.
we're talking about the De La Rosa property across the street from the courthouse that we've been thinking about for that, expansion or addition to the courthouse.
you know, and then the next, even if they say, okay, yeah, we'll sell, then we gotta decide what we're willing to give.
Yeah.
And how.
Yeah.
Because the public is the public's gonna have some questions, and only rightfully so. You know, on.
I mean, there's also not, I mean, we're very statutorily bound by what we can purchase.
There's not a lot of options there.
No, it's really,
We have the
we're bound by,
appraisals.
we're bound by the maximum of paying the.
And I
average of two appraisals.
think we should hold to that standard.
I have no-
Period. I
I
don't
have
wanna,
no-
I think
I
that's what
would
we've
not
said.
be in favor of looking outside the box.
I think that's what we've said. is
Yeah,
that-
I
that's-
think while that was looked at previously, I think it's the consensus is we're not,
decided we're
no
not
longer
interested
doing
in
that.
Super,
Yep.
thank you. Okay,
Yeah, I think next week I would like to set a date after which our offer to purchase expires and we move on. So we'll get Stan here and just try and set that date.
What I think too with the some of the early interactions with some of the property owners' sons, conveying that look, if you guys are not willing to come to the table and meet with us here in the very near future, this offer is going to expire and we're not going to be revisiting it, that may, you know,
yeah,
promote
I
them
think
to-
that's the route
to
we
sit
ought
down.
go. Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
good.
Okay,
Good deal.
super, thank you, Clayton.
Anything else for us, Clayton?
Nope, that is it.
Shannon, what have you got for us this morning?
I just have a quick thing.
It's what you always say.
I do always say that.
And it's usually quick. That's what I like about her.
So I have 2 more instances of 5-year pay that I need approved. So we have 5 babies that are being born by county employees in the next 6 months. Very exciting. So one of them that I'm asking for today is related to childbirth and another one is related to an employee who has used all of their time and is on medical leave and unfortunately has not returned to work yet because he's going through some things.
Okay.
So this that I'm asking for today, this is my second of the 5, but one of the 5 I don't have to ask for. So just as a heads up, I've got a couple more that will be coming down in the next couple months. So,
That's for the one extra pay, is that?
yeah, that's the bi-weekly pay. Yep.
You needed some approval today then?
Yes, please, if that's okay.
You're just asking for
Just
one?
For 2 of them.
Two.
Two of
For
them.
two
I
people.
move that we permit Shannon to proceed.
Okay, second,
Two.
the motion passes. Thanks.
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you.
Actually,
I am not one of those having to make,
Too old, Tony.
I am too old.
Being around my
Well, I could
grandkids,
say
my
if it's
great
a baby, I'm
grandkids,
gonna
I
have
know
it,
why
so.
I'm too old too. There was God had a plan there, how you put that all together. It doesn't include people my age out chasing babies around full time.
I don't have anything else, unless the public does, I don't have anything.
Nathan, what are you here? Do we need to hear from you?
No.
Okay, just wanna make sure that,
Never need to hear from me.
Okay,
anything from the public? I know our public participation is pretty limited, but
I'm good.
Important
Okay.
people are here.